A spiritual practice is a healing journey that looks different for everyone, and you don't need anything fancy. We're Carly and Carla, and this is Without a Candle, a raw, authentic chat bridging the gap between what it actually is and what media sells you. Let's normalize the journey together.
Hey, good morning, guys. I have a friend. I have Hillary here. Hillary, first and foremost, you do have the opportunity to introduce yourself, but how would you introduce yourself to the masses so the public understands who Hillary is? Who's Hillary?
Well, that's an interesting question to get hit with first thing in the morning.
The first shit out of the way.
Let's just get the tough one out of the way.
Yeah. But I mean, we've already had some amazing conversation before we hit play, right? Or record. And so, for some of these other conversations to make sense, I feel like, they do need to know, who you are, what's your job, but then what's your passion, because we don't ever talk about your job, right? We talk about the side quest. So, but yeah, dig in.
Okay. So I'm Hillary Tucker is my name. I work for an ag company, and I actually lead their nonprofit community service division, which I love. That is the passion of my heart. I have 2 children and a beautiful grandbaby. And I guess if I wanted people to know one thing about me, it's that I think it's important to lean into your own intuition and independence and always find a way to give back in any way. And that doesn't have to be big things. It can be very small things. Yeah. That's where I would start. And just be yourself. Yeah. Be your own weird, sparkly, unusual, unconventional, paint everything pink self. Yeah. Just lean into it and run with it.
Yeah. Might as well, right?
Absolutely.
So why not? Why hide it? It takes more work to hide that shit than it does.
Absolutely. It always comes out in the end, right? Like I joke with my husband when I have to go to the office. We have a pretty strict dress code. And so I always leave the house and I feel very polished and together. And then the feral starts to creep out at the cracks, kind of like, dandelions through the cracks in the sidewalk. You can only keep it suppressed for so long.
Okay. But you don't have to go in the office a lot, right?
No, thank goodness. Okay. It's probably a good thing.
So, I mean, in moderation, you can keep it contained for the most part.
But even this brief little stance, you're like, oh, look, it's bursting at the seams.
You gotta tuck it back away. That's funny. I love that so much. And thank you for sharing that. Yeah, because, one of the things that is very true for myself and Carly is that we don't want to be fake,
Yeah.
If you come in here and I have my shoes on, that's an odd day, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The normal is odd to us. I don't know if that...
It makes perfect sense to me.
Bow on some things or not, yeah. But even just earlier, a few moments ago, we were in the thick of the conversation about some of those passions.
Yep.
And I think I know so much more about, I'm just going to call it a side quest, of the heart or whatever you want to call it. But I know so much about that I didn't know what your 9-to-5 job was.
Oh,
I don't know if that makes sense at all.
I don't always know what my 9-to-5 job is.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. So, but then, so share a little bit about the nonprofit side and kind of how that started with you, and then wherever you want to take it from there, we'll chat more, and eventually it will tie into all this crazy, cool, fun, weird shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got involved in the nonprofit side of things. This was 2022 when the floods swept through eastern Kentucky that were so devastating. And I work for Alltech, and they're fantastic about when there's a need. We don't ask, we just get our stuff together and go. And so that's what I did. I got volunteers and supplies together, got in contact with some folks in the community. They told me where to go. We took supplies and we started doing flood recovery and cleanup work. And we continued to go and work in the same area. I was taking a crew every 2 weeks for about 18 months. We would go out. And sometimes it was shoveling flood mud, which is Sometimes it was shoveling flood mud. Sometimes it was running chainsaws. Sometimes it was just being with people and helping them remember, hey, we haven't forgotten about you. And one of the things that it's always stayed with me is we were helping the lady who lives right on the banks of Troublesome Creek. And when the floods came, it was all the way up above the roof line of her house. Everything was destroyed. Everything was full of mud. And we walked into the flooded house about a week and a half after things went through. And she saw something down in the corner and it was buried. And she said, "Oh, that must be a chunk of my mommy's china." Well, we very carefully dug it out, and it was a blue and white china casserole dish that had been her grandmother's. There was not a chip on it. There was not a crack in it, and everything else around it was destroyed.
Man.
And that just stuck in my head. And I stumbled across a cat that came home with me in the course of the flood cleanup. They were cleaning debris up with like skid steers and dump trucks because nothing could be salvaged. And skid steer was coming to pick up a big pile of debris, and this little ratty, bug-eyed cat with a pot belly, bedraggled, looked like she'd been through a flood, scuttles across the yard, climbs up my leg, and just plops right there on my chest, like, "I'm gonna go home with you, and I'm not really asking if that's okay." So that was my first foray into doing that in any kind of, I guess, official capacity. So then when Helene hit in September 2024, I started making phone calls. I got with some buddies who have a boat club because I knew they had trucks and trailers. I was like, we got to get some shit together and we got to go. And I didn't really have a plan. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know anybody.
The plan.
I was just like, we're going to load these cars till there is no more room. And we had people sending us money and sending us stuff from Amazon. And so we packed until we had no room to move. In my SUV, we had 2 or 3 trucks. We had some flatbed or some box trailers, and we just took off. And getting there at that point was not an easy thing. So you dog-legged out through Pike County and over into Virginia and then across the Goat Trail and down into North Carolina. And somehow I ended up out on Highway 9, which is the main road between Black Mountain and Lake Lure. I'm not sure how I got there because technically nobody was supposed to be there.
Right.
But that's where I ended up. And
it was all those intuitive moments. Turn right.
It was absolutely like, yep, we're just going to go here and sort of pray and hope we don't fall off the side of this crumbling mountain. But we got there, and I've been working down there ever since. Early days, it was emergency needs. It was food, water, cold weather camping supplies, tents and sleeping bags, things like hearing aid batteries and things you don't necessarily think of.
It's not part of your daily life. Doesn't mean it's not part of someone else's daily life.
Yes. Right? And the thing I've learned is there's always groups that know to go in and cook. And they'll cook, or they'll have water, or they'll have first aid kits. But there's all these little things nobody thinks about that kind of fall through the cracks. Like we had a lady that needed a very specific type of baby formula that's made in England. And when the main distribution hub for the grocery that carried it was destroyed in the hurricane, she couldn't find any. So I made a call. I have a colleague in England. She put some on a plane, shipped us 2 cases.
Nice.
We got it to the distribution center, but it was just because we would try to talk to people and say, hey, look, what do you need?
Yeah, like we know there's all this stuff.
We can bring you stuff, but if that stuff's not what you need, it's not helpful.
Yeah, it's just wasteful at some point, right? So, we had conversations too about a lot of these families are humble to a point where it's almost harmful. Like they didn't really, like they felt guilty for taking the help.
Yeah.
Or, those situations, right?
Yeah.
But if you need it, because they were so concerned, like even though they needed it, someone else may need it more.
That was always the answer.
Yeah.
There was, I think, partly because there was so much loss of life in this storm, the people who made it through would, no matter what, the answer was always, we're fine, you get it to somebody else who needs it. Yeah. And so what I tried to do as time moved forward was see what the needs were as they evolved in the community. And one of the biggest challenges was access to food, because one of the primary grocery stores in the area is Ingles. Well, their distribution hub was destroyed. Several of the grocery stores were destroyed. Well, if you live 10, 15 miles out in the mountains, it's not a big deal if there's a grocery store there in your
Right.
town. But when all that's washed away,
Yeah.
and then it's a
And
30-minute
then
drive,
not even mentioning like, do they even have transportation
right? Well, that's it. Or
Right.
you lost your car, or your road is gone. It gets really complicated really quickly. And so the thing we saw that we could do to fill that gap was community gardens. And there's all this green space that's been condemned for future rebuilding. That's a space you can grow food.
Yeah.
If it floods again, you're out some garden seed. You're
Right.
not really out anything. But from an acre and a half last year, we were able to grow a little over 3,000 pounds, which is a ton and a half of fresh vegetables, and get those distributed into outlying communities, community kitchens, and food banks.
Yes. And then there's an education aspect of that too, because while this
Yeah.
is going on, the community's learning some of that. Now, some of the community may have already known that, but the younger generations that may be falling away from that, they now have the opportunity to not just learn about the agriculture side, but to learn about the community side.
Yeah.
And all of those pieces, right?
Yeah, and one of the neatest things about this is, as we worked out in the Broad River Valley, we've gotten to know the community pretty well. And one of my favorite ladies, she's 93.
Okay.
She still grows a 2-acre garden by herself. She's tough as a pine knot. But we were talking about seeds one day, and she was telling me that she collects seeds from plants every year that her grandmother brought when they came over, as she says, from the old country. So she's propagating plants and raising plants from seeds that are probably well over 200 years old. That's an incredible piece of history. So the chance for people to learn that, hey, seeds are more than just an envelope you pick up at Walmart as you walk to the checkout aisle, I think is really neat. And the chance to have the conversation about, it's not that hard to grow a little bit of food for yourself. It might just be a zucchini in your porch pot. That's
And
okay.
then, you know, growing up, you know, kind of living that way on the weekends in the summer with my grandparents, like it didn't matter if you wanted or not. You fed you ate it, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So, well, you know, if you thought you wanted a tomato, but the tomatoes weren't ready yet, well, then you figure something else out, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff. Yeah. So fun times. But and that ties us into the conversation we were having just before. So your newest project is where?
Danville, Kentucky. Yeah.
So for those that don't know, how far away is that from here?
From Cynthiana, it's probably 70 miles, probably an hour and 15, 20 minutes.
Gotcha. And what is the need for that there?
What was brought to me is that the school system is seeing more and more homeless students, and students who are really struggling with food insecurity. There's been an uptick in the students that participate in the backpack program. And so the question was, you know, what can we do to maybe help take some of that strain off?
Right.
And there's a number of groups that are coming together to work on this project. Everybody kind of brings their little piece of skill or knowledge. And I think the first one is going to go in at where the Jenny Rogers Elementary School used to be.
Okay.
It will be raised beds, be very simple this year, nothing complicated.
Well, because now we're also fighting the clock, right? So get this done in a timely manner, so it's beneficial for this season. Raised beds are sometimes just where it needs to be.
But even last year when we were planting in North Carolina, it was mid-June by the time the rain got. By the time it was dry enough for us to get in and work the garden sites and get the seeds in, it was pretty late. But by the same token, we were still harvesting in late October, early November. So
there's pros and cons.
You just got to roll with the seasons, you know.
Well, shit, this year in Kentucky, I mean, I've not looked at anywhere else. Like, we are just now getting those April showers. You know? So that was a little odd for me to see this year. I don't remember. And we probably say that every year, but I don't remember that situation last year.
I don't either. It's been a while since it's been this cool and wet this late.
So, you know, my thing is like, I know you. We have conversations, not as often as we'd both like, because life, right, and busy. But if I know you, right, we have these conversations, and I didn't know all of that, how do we expect all of them to understand all of that, right? So how do people learn more about the nonprofit through Alltech?
We have a website. It's piercelionsace.org, I believe. It's the Pierce Lions Ace Foundation. If you Google that, it'll take you to the website. It'll tell you a little bit about our ongoing work in Haiti, in Sudan. We post updates if we do something that's disaster relief related, anything like that.
Yeah. And what was kind of, well, it's not cool, but I don't know a better word right now. It's like we just talked about the raised gardens in Danville. That didn't come out of a disaster,
No.
right? I mean, there's a need that could often feel like disaster, right? That built
Yeah.
over time. And it was just, I don't always say neglectful because people that like, I didn't know all that, right?
Yeah.
But you don't know, you don't know. But now that there is understanding of foundation and need there, that something's being done about it.
Yeah.
So if there were a community need in other towns and other cities, how would they start bringing awareness to the foundation that there was a need?
That's a good question.
Hillary.
Call me. Yeah, that's that's usually the answer. And I'll give you my contact details to drop in the links when you post this.
Okay.
Usually the best thing to do is find people in the community and just sit and talk, because a lot of times the needs they come out.
Right, yeah.
Even when you don't intend
Right.
for that to be the discussion, suddenly one person mentions, well, we've got more kids taking backpacks home, and somebody else will mention, hey, I did a community garden program when I lived in San Diego, and hey, we do this, and suddenly you look and it's like a quilting square. Everybody's brought a little piece to the table, and it kind of comes together, pun intended, organically.
Yeah.
And if you've got a big deep budget and you've got the workforce to support it, you can just step in and put a community garden. And there's a lot of communities that do them at the jails. They do them at schools, anywhere that there's a group that they know they can consistently rely on for volunteers, because that's one of your biggest challenges. Is a garden takes maintenance, and so you've got to have a committed group of volunteers.
Yeah, so it's not just the know-how, it's the hands to do, the work as well. Makes a difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's all of this. Like we live in, I don't know what time it is. I'm not good with time, right? And it doesn't matter anyway. So there's all of that, but then there's all of this. Do you remember when we met?
It's been a couple of years
Okay.
ago. You were just getting started in here, I think.
This one, okay.
Yeah, you had just opened up in here, I think.
And it was a skeleton crew.
Yeah.
And skeleton like supply and demand in there too.
Yeah, it
wasn't
was. It was pretty small.
So after you visited that first time, what brought you back the second time?
I was thinking about this on the way.
All the hard questions for Hillary today.
No, I was thinking about this on the way over this morning. This exploration of craft has been a lot like learning to cook for me. I'm dead awful at following rules. Okay, I can cook.
Yeah.
I promise you, I'm an exceptional cook. But if you tell me I have to follow a recipe, it's like giving a monkey a math problem. It's not going to happen. It's going to go wrong. Something's going to blow up. Something's going to catch on fire. And so when I was learning to cook as a kid, like I said, I thought about this morning. I had 4 aunts who helped raise me. And so when I wanted to learn to do something that they did well, I just followed them around and listened. And then as I got older and I wanted to learn to do something, if I want to make a new dish, I might read a dozen recipes, watch 2 or 3 videos. Then I might set something out while I'm cooking, so I at least get my times and temperatures right. But I'm going to do it my own way.
Right, okay.
And this is kind of
that's why I don't bake.
It's right.
Yes,
I can't. It's going to go so badly.
Baking is more of a science.
Oh, no, I can't. I cannot. I cannot do that. And so this for me has kind of been the same thing, to find people who are authentic. It's not just a put on fad or a trend, who I can ask when I have a strange question or what seems strange to the rest of the world. And listening to my own intuition, and having people like you and Carly who say, just lean into that. There's really not a right or a wrong way to move forward.
There's what's good for you, what's right for you.
Yes.
Right? What doesn't, and oftentimes, the wrong or the improper that people think of would be what test their integrity, right?
Yes.
So, and that's unfortunately, even the integrity concept for people is different from person to person, right?
Very much
So
so.
what's right and pushing boundaries for one person, I get excited, I don't know if you can tell, for one person, maybe an absolutely non-negotiable for the next person.
Sure.
Right.
I agree with that.
And so, and I feel like that just growth and maturity in the works as well.
Yes.
So,
But I think having that community around you to answer your questions and help set you up for whatever your vision of success is the wrong word, but it's all that will come to me
Yeah,
at this
that's
moment.
fine.
But having people that will help you make sure you have the right tools
yeah.
and understanding,
Mhm.
I think is the key. And then you just have to burn some cupcakes and get out there and give things a
Figure it
try.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, in the moments, those conversations, those are often also intuitive, right?
Yeah.
So no two answers to the same question may ever be the same because
Yeah.
the individuals asking those questions are not the same.
Yeah.
So, man. So what has been one of the bigger shifts in your personal growth with being a part and having awareness around the community?
It's taught me to stop and it's taught me to sit with things
Mm-hmm.
a little more intentionally and not just, I used to do things like a bulldozer, just hard and fast.
Yeah.
And I'm learning, I did a small working for the full blue moon this weekend, for abundance
Mhm.
because I'm working on some growth at work. And so it was important to me that I sit down and be honest about my intentions. Like
Mm.
I needed to own my own ambition. I think that's something we're not taught to do as women. I needed to acknowledge that that's not wrong
Yeah, or selfish or any
or
of those other
selfish.
things. Yeah.
That's okay.
Mhm.
And then I needed to sit with what's really at the core of this. Is it that I want more money? Is it that I want a title? No, it's none of those things, but I had to work through that and figure out what it is, acknowledge where I want to end up, and then realize, you can sit and hope you get a windfall, or you can make your money bowl and hope that you're going to come into some cash, and you might. But if the intention behind it is wrong, if you don't put the work into it,
If you don't know why.
if you don't work on the why
Yeah.
and the how, and it's just very superficial, no gift comes without strings. And so you really have to stop and think, because I deeply believe whatever you put out in the universe, boy, it comes back to you. And if you go into something like that and greed is at the core, then you may be about to bite into a poison apple.
Yeah.
So you have to be very careful, at least for me, with what's behind the work that you do.
And, I know you're not saying that in a fearful way. You're saying that in a way to create awareness, right?
Yes.
And caution, right?
And that's what's important to
understanding,
me.
yeah.
That's what I need to do.
Right.
And it has really made me sit and work through what drew me to feel like I needed to focus on abundance or growth, or maybe it's a little bit of shadow work. Maybe it's just time spent in gratitude. Look beyond just saying thank you. What are you really grateful for?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not the big stuff. Sometimes it's that morning cup of coffee in your favorite cup,
Yeah,
right?
The one
Like,
that's clean
the
tonight.
one that's clean
Yeah.
and it's your favorite. It's not always the big things, but I think you have to take a minute and lean into the why.
And then even for a moment, like I know you hesitated using the word success because you thought that there could be a different word, right, for that. But even success doesn't have to be about a monetary component, right?
Right.
Success could be going to bed tonight, being fulfilled, and having a good night's sleep. Like
Absolutely.
that's success. That's
That
a
is
win
success.
for me,
That's a
right?
big win.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So about shifting the perspective on some of those words. You don't ever have to worry about that around here because we
Yeah.
understand um, that it's often deeper than that, right?
Yes.
But sometimes those words that we use or choose to use in the moment is what the other person can understand.
That's a very good way to
meeting
put
people
that.
where they are, right?
Yeah.
And if the other person in the conversation can't understand that success isn't just about money or about keeping up with the Joneses,
Yeah.
then that's not on me.
Does
that make sense? I
Yeah,
know
that
sounds crazy.
No,
but
that makes perfect
yeah.
sense. Yeah.
So use whatever you need to. You know what you mean, right?
Yeah.
What other tiny tidbits would you drop for people listening whenever they cross this about the community and the practice and that kind of thing?
I would say one, pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Two, for me, it's generally what's out in the natural world. Maybe I'm sitting on my front porch and it's paying attention to what birds are around me, or if my rabbit is in my yard eating her chamomile this morning, or what that looks like. What do I see when I paddle down the river? It's taking time to really pay attention, especially when you see those little messengers in places you don't normally expect them.
Yeah.
Take a minute and think about why did this cross my path at this moment?
When it's somewhere like it normally wouldn't even belong.
Where it's somewhere
right?
that
Yeah,
it doesn't
yeah.
belong.
Okay.
And when you start to pay attention, those unexpected happenings, they pop up more and more often. And I think they're always there. We just we don't give them, keep using the word attention. Again, we're back to I need a better word, but you don't notice them, they slip past you. So slow down and put the phone down, turn
Have
the
a different set of
screens,
eyes and
have
awareness.
yeah, and lean into your own intuition. If something gives you a feeling in your gut
You
or
better
in your
listen,
chest,
right?
explore that
Yeah.
a little bit. And if you feel unsafe, talk to somebody that you trust about it. Or if it feels too big, talk to somebody that you trust.
What's been one of your biggest challenges in this discovery? Because it's a discovery. Every day is a different discovery.
Reminding myself to not go fast and to do things with intention.
Gotcha.
In my mind, it's the
Yeah.
difference between being a bulldozer and being a river over the rocks. And I try to remind myself, you don't have to be the bulldozer that
Yeah.
smashes everything. Just be that river running.
Sometimes there's a need for that energy.
Sometimes there's a need
Yeah, gotta
for
get
that
that.
energy. And we wear a different hat on those days.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
But for the most part, we need to be the river that's carving its way through the
Yeah.
rocks.
Making those impressions.
Yep, that can find a way through, over, around, or over. That's what I have to make myself do, because I tend to go like
Right.
hard and fast.
Yeah. So during all of this journey, what's been one of your most unexpected blessings or the biggest aha moment that you've had?
Oh, I can tell you that. That's an easy one. You lobbed an easy one at me. That's great.
Yeah. I have to think harder next time.
No, one of the first times that I sat down and kind of took ownership that this is a craft I want to pursue, it was very simple. I wanted to just take a few minutes and do a meditation on gratitude. And so I gathered my materials that I wanted, because I am a person who likes a little bit of ceremony or ritual. I like tactile things to anchor me. And I just wanted to say thank you to, I use the word grandmothers to mean all the women that have come before, because I feel them around me all the time. And I was, everybody had gone to bed. I had the house to myself. It was very quiet. I have one cat, Bramble, who's in my mind, she's the familiar. And then I have a dog. I have 5 dogs, but I have one dog who has positioned herself as my guardian. And a lot of times I find when I'm doing something, they take up very specific positions around me physically. And so I was in my living room. It was quiet. It was beautiful. It was nighttime. And I went through what I wanted to say, and I just sat and closed my eyes. And as clear as if they were in the room, I could see the grandmothers gathered around. I could see the lodge ceiling. I could see the fire burning. I was right there with them. And it was one of the most beautiful moments I've had in a very long time.
And how often do you visit that?
Oh, frequently.
Yeah.
Frequently.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes. Yes. It's really beautiful. And it all started from a guided meditation, where you're asked to visit a spot in your mind and look and see who's going to join you. And so I leaned into that, and it's always the grandmothers. Always.
I love that.
And sometimes there's a dog that passed years ago. She comes back. And I had a bay mare who was my heart, and she comes too.
Okay.
But it's always the women.
Yeah.
Always the females.
Okay. Well, I love that so much. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we can't talk forever. I know that's not something we're used to, having a time restraint. But any last tiny tidbits or anything else you want to share?
Yes, I think there's a little bit of magic in all of us. And I think that gets lost in this sort of Disney painting of what magic and witches and witchcraft are meant
Yeah.
to be. Take a little time and get into the history of what witchcraft actually looks like. It's generally just women leaning into their own intuition and their own knowledge and their own community.
Yeah.
So ask where that seed is in yourself.
Yeah.
You might be intrigued to see where it takes you. That's my thought for the day.
All right, guys. Well, we love that. I appreciate you, Hillary, coming in and spending some time with us today.
Happy to do it.
I know that you have a calendar just as full as our calendar, right? So, well, that's what we have for now. We love you. We appreciate you, and we'll see you when we see you. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks for tuning in to Without a Candle. If this episode landed with you in any way, drop us a like and leave a comment. And then visit the show notes for the connection links and more. And remember, you are your greatest tool. We'll catch you next time. See ya.